that, we have to talk about the definition of the transaction. Then using that transaction concept, there are different locking mechanism, isolation problem. So this is one of the solution, and which is used most of the current DBMS system as a database concurrency control. So as the name implies, so concurrently the multi-user support. Did you call to it? I realized that. So you can, he want to you can move to there. Today in the morning, I had a cough and a little bit fever, so I took the Tylenol. But right now, it's a very busy, and even I don't understand what I'm saying. Please understand me. So even though I explained again and again, try to catch up the point. Okay? Definitely, you will get the question from today's topic also. Okay? I guarantee. But it's your responsibility how much you guys can understand. Okay. But anyway, so it's almost a sweat. It's not because of the temperature, but I think it's kind of as a cold. So I try to do that. So to address the problem of such a synchronization in database, we are going to discuss about the concurrency control, which means the DBMS can support the multiple transaction, multi-user at the same time. How can we do that? Actually, if we simplify the problem of the synchronization in that you learned in the operating system, what will be the solution? All the solutions are based on what's lock. Okay? Without lock, you cannot access the critical section or the shared data. So with the locking, so we can do it. However, there are different levels of the lock. Basically, there are two locks, shared lock and exclusive lock. So for example, the exclusive lock, to write the data, you need to get the lock. How many users? Only one user. What about the other user want to read or write the data? They need to wait. Okay? So if you apply very, very strictly such a locking mechanism to for the concurrency control, sometimes your system will be entirely stop. So we should have something different level of the lock. So that is based on the two-phase locking. Also, there is another big problem if you allow the multiple transaction or multi-user system. Even though you have the locking mechanism, there is a big issue. What is that? It's the deadlock. So do you remember in operating system, at the end of the process management, you probably learned about the deadlock management. What is the deadlock?
Process.
You are getting the code. Not him, it's probably your girlfriend.
When two processes wait indefinitely?
Yes?
When two processes wait indefinitely?
Yes. For example, he's holding his book, I'm holding my cell phone. He wants to use my cell phone to take the photo, and also I want to take the photo of the exercise from the book. Both of us are very, very quick, so we don't want to let the other use the first. So I'm holding, he's holding the item, then I'm waiting for his, and he's waiting for me. It's a forever. Okay? So that is what? America. Okay, so America. That is a deadlock situation. So in operating system, in computer system, whether or not you realize there are a lot of actually deadlock situation. Did you remember how to solve such a deadlock problem? There are a bunch of we will see very briefly, because this is not the course for the operating system, but very briefly. But the current solution is what? Most of operating system ignore such a deadlock. Why? Detect, avoid, solve the problem of the deadlock is very, very expensive. In other words, it takes a time, it requires a lot of research, so operating system just ignore. So for example, as a professor or as a teacher in the elementary school, I don't care whether or not you guys fighting or the get along with or the good relationship. I don't care. Instead, you guys need to solve that problem. Because if the teacher involved all the relationship, how many different relationships? So many. Even one relationship is very hard to solve the problem. Something like that. So operating system don't care the deadlock. What if you encounter that deadlock problem? Control C or turn it off. That's the solution. Okay, that is the reason many of the application, when you learn the many of the application, it's a stop. You don't know what happened. But that's sometimes the deadlock that frequently, even the Microsoft, the Windows 8, doesn't matter. Any operating system, there is no perfect operating system, so there is no the deadlock-free system. So in case something happens, the user is responsible for that. So because of that, you need to Control C. Control C is interrupt. Okay, then the stop the current, or sometimes you can turn it off, turn it on your system. However, in the database system, we cannot ignore such a thing. So we are going to use also the locking mechanism, which is called the two-phase locking mechanism. Two-phase locking means two-phase means there might be two phases, right? One is getting the lock. First, you need to get the lock, right? Then second phase is release the lock. Looks like very simple, but we need to avoid such a deadlock problem. So why don't you focus on how we can solve the deadlock problem using the two-phase locking? Why is not? It's a deadlock. Oh, really? Doesn't work. Okay. This is just 1 month old, the computer, but a lot of problems. It's Microsoft. Okay, so in other words, we write in first isolation method. Isolation means the one transaction will not be bothered, the other transaction or user. This is isolation. However, we have the different isolation level. Sometimes I don't want to be shared all my data with other, even though somebody just take a look at it. So it's a very strong isolation. Sometimes we can allow the other user or transaction can just take a look at it. Or even sometimes we can allow other transaction, other user can update the data. It's a different isolation level, but in the database system, we will enforce such isolation using the two-phase locking mechanism. At that time, we will consider conflict transaction situation. What is a conflict? Conflict means in case we have the two transactions. There are two transactions, okay? So one transaction may have the several operations. Operation means basically in the database system is a read or write, okay? So read or write operation. So set of read or write operation. So at the time when we have the multiple transaction, two transactions, in case they need to access the same data, share the data, okay? Then one of them is at least the write operation. At that time, this situation is called conflict situation. Two transactions. What if one? There might be no problem. Only one transaction, so you can access any data, you can change any data, you don't have to get the lock. And second option is access the same data. If each transaction access the different data, there might be no problem. They can access their own data. So in case they access the same data, and also if both of them are reading the data, there might be no conflict situation. They can read whatever they want. However, in case one of them write the data, it's called the conflict situation. So conflict does not mean the deadlock. Conflict may cause the deadlock. So we will see how to solve such a conflict problem. If there is no conflict, there might be no problem in terms of conflict. However, in case of the conflict situation, that may cause the deadlock situation. We need to do something. So, what about the first one? When we write the transaction, the R or W means read or write. Okay? And one means it's a transaction number. And in the parentheses, the letter X means it's a shared data. The data item. Data item can be attribute value. It can be one record, entire record. It can be entire table. It can be entire database. It depends on, okay, graduate. That is called the different level of the data, but it can be, in this case, let's say this is the one attribute value. Okay, so this means transaction 1 read the data item X. At the same time, transaction 2 is write the data item X. What are the first condition? There are two transactions, right? And also they are accessing the same data, X, and one of them, at least one of them is right. This is called conflict situation. Conflict may cause the deadlock situation. So we need to do something. Okay? We will discuss about such a what we gonna do to address the problem. Okay, later. Let's see another example of the conflict situation. Is this a conflict? Yes, because there are two transactions, 1 and 2. One of them is writing, and they are sharing the data item X. What about this one? Why this is not conflict? Because read the data. So when you read the data, I can read your data, and he can read the data. There might be no conflict, unless he is so much greedy. That's the very strict isolation. That may happen. It depends on. But in database system, you allow. Actually, this is a general rule. So DBMS, current DBMS system, allow one transaction. If one transaction wants to read the data, nobody can bother such a reading. Also, if one transaction writes the data, nobody can bother. Which means even though share the conflict situation, you should be able to write the data. That is the current DBMS level. It's a advanced level, but we are not going to cover such a way. We will discuss about mostly the basic conflict situation. What about this one? Is it why is not conflict?
They're accessing different items.
It's a different item, right? And the last one?
It's the same transaction.
Same transaction. So, however, in case of such a complex situation, we need to do something. So that's our topic today. So, what is the solution? We are going to discuss about. Anyway, to solve the problem of the synchronization for such a concurrency control, locking is the only way. Overall, most of all these algorithms are based on the lock. So there are the pace of the lock in two-pace locking technique. So before that, we will define some operation. That is the lock X. Lock of X means this one is locked by the transaction. Okay, requesting transaction. Unlock means release the resource. The transaction can do the operation. And also the lock and unlock are atomic operation, which means it cannot be stopped in the middle. It is true, the lock, when you implement the lock or unlock, it can be several operations or instructions. But just like the definition of the transaction, this lock and unlock is atomic. It's a unit, basic unit. Sometimes you can implement the lock with the operating system, or sometimes an instruction level, sometimes hardware. But anyway, no matter what method you use, this lock and unlock are atomic, which means once it is started, it will be completed, not stopped in the middle. So there are two lock modes. One is a read lock, another one is a write lock. Read lock means it's a shared lock. How many people can read the data? Many people, as many the students, they can read the data, but how many of them are writing? We have only one, the pen, so it's an exclusive lock. So exclusive lock allows only one transaction. One transaction can hold such an exclusive lock. On the other hand, the shared lock are by many transactions. Okay? So before we implement the two-phase locking, So we need to have some data structure that is a log table. Log table means we are going to manage. So think about in the real DBMS system, when you install the, for example, Oracle. Oracle has many different components. DBMS has components. One of them is query optimizer, okay, query processor, or SQL the parser, data backup and recovery, and so on. So log manager is one of the components to manage the concurrency control. Okay, that this log manager will manage the information about the log. How? Using the log table. That log table has the transaction number, data item that is held by this transaction, and type of log, either read log or write log, and pointer to next data item. This pointer is this transaction is requesting another log. Okay, at that time you can pointer to other data item. So you can manage such a log information in the log table. Okay, at that time. So well-formed means to access the data, read or even to read the data, you need to get the log. That is a shared log, and definitely when you write the log, write the data, you need to get the exclusive log. That is the first condition, and that operation will not release, okay, until unlock the transaction will not release such a log. That is called well-formed the transaction. So two-phase locking. Otherwise, if the transaction release the log without the log operation, it can be accessed by the many transactions. So you cannot guarantee the data. So that is the reason transaction should be the well-formed. So well-formed is a two condition. When you read or write the data, the transaction should get the log. And also, once you get the log, you do not release the log, okay, until unlock operation. So how can we implement such a log? It's a programming level. So when you get the log, okay, you can set up either 0 means unlock. So if the log of x 0, which means it's unlocked, then you can set as the log. 1 means the log, okay. Unlock means you can release. So there's no transaction. Read log. Read log is you can set as the read log. Then you need to count how many transactions are accessing this data item. Yes.
Is log manager a queue?
It's a program. Log manager is a program running as a service. Then control. For example, if there is a transaction, so transaction required to read, for example, employee data.
Right.
Then at the time, you need to get the read log. Okay, for that employee table, that information will be stored at the log table. Then at that time, how to get the log? Such a log will be implemented based on such a pseudocode. That should be implemented in the log manager. Log manager is the software program, part of the DBMS system. That's the query optimizer that you are implementing.
It should be maintained like a queue structure so that it will keep track of the reading and writing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to take care of the all. First is based on the process. Process means the transaction in database system. So once there is a request or for example, you log on the Oracle database using SQL Plus. Okay, so listener or the server on the server side will receive your request and check your authorization. If that is successful, yes, you log on. Then if you type select asterisk from employee, you need to get the log for employee as a read log. That log information will be saved for example, log item X. This function will be used. Also, a kind of log is a read log. This function will be enforced, and then such an information will be saved in the something memory. It's not hard disk drive. It will be the memory. And also, write log is the simpler than the read log. Read log, you need to count number of transactions. At the same time, access the data item X. But the write log is only one log. Okay, and either 0 or 1, unlock or the write log. Okay, so when you unlock, so in case of the read log, you need to decrease the number of transactions, and otherwise, in case of a write log, you can unlock because it's only one transaction and therefore exclusive log. There's another one is operation that is a log conversion. Log conversion means first, you can access the data like the select from employee. It's a read log. Then next operation in the same transaction, you can update the data. Then it's not, you don't have to release the log and get the log, another log. Instead, you can upgrade from read log to the write log. Why? If you release the log, then get the log, there might be little bit gap, right? There might be possibility the other transaction get the log or update. So when you check the employee table, so employee, the 111 has a salary 10,000. So you'd like to update it. Also, when you update the data, first you need to select the data implicitly. So if you release the log, there might be chance the other transaction can update the such a data. So to address that problem, we can implement a log conversion, that is a log upgrade from read log to write log. And similarly, log downgrade is the write log to read log. So that is the log conversion. So we are ready. So we have the log manager is the main component. It's a software actually we can implement. Okay. So just like what you are implementing query optimizer, so you can implement the log manager. So for example, think about you join the Oracle database, the Oracle Corporation. So you are developer for the Oracle database management system. At the time, you will be assigned one of these components to implement. Even sometimes a certain part of the algorithm. So this two-phase log consists of the two parts. As I said, it's a locking phase and another one is unlocking phase. Which means in one transaction, I need to read the employee and write employee and read department and write the department. So in the simple locking mechanism, you need to get all the lock, okay, then the process it and release the lock. Okay? This is a traditional way. Okay? However, if you get all the lock, anyway, so this is what the locking phase and release unlocking phase. So this is a two-phase locking. This is one way. Okay? Another way is you don't have to get all the lock. Okay? Instead, you can gradually get the lock and release the lock. Whenever you process it, you can release the lock. So that is another phase. As I said, even I don't understand what I'm saying. It's a little bit confusing. That's it. Okay, so this is also two-phase locking. So you can either get to hold the lock first, then process it and release the lock. Also, you can gradually get the lock and gradually release the lock. So who will see such an example? Okay, so there are different the approach. One is a basic. Basic means it's a conservative. First, conservative, you can get all the lock. Okay, then release the lock. Main problem, sometimes all other transactions need to wait until the current transaction is completed, terminate, or the abort or committed is terminated. Okay, so to address that one, there is another way, that is the basic and the strict way. Basic is you can get the lock one by one whenever they are needed. Okay, then release the lock. Okay. However, this kind of locking may cause a deadlock situation. Okay, so for example, I need to get the employee, I need the lock for the employee, but this time another transaction get the lock of the department. Then I'm waiting for the releasing of the department, but the other transaction is waiting for employee. So that may cause a deadlock situation. So in strict way, it's basically similar, but the stricter version of the two-phase locking. In case if we have the transaction 1, transaction 2, read department, write the department, and read the employee, right, employee. At this time, this may cause the deadlock. Also, this is a complex situation. So, complex situation does not mean the deadlock, but there may be chance to be deadlock. So, whenever you find such a complex situation, at that time, in the strict version of two-phase commit, you will terminate either of them. Right? Then you can solve the problem. So that is the strict version of two-phase locking. So this is the most popular, the concurrency control in the current DBMS system. So let me summarize. Two-phase locking means whenever you access the data, you need to get the lock and release the lock. It's a two-phase. Then basic of a conservative approach is you need to get all the lock first. Then process it and release it. There might be no problem of the deadlock situation, but sometimes you need to wait until all of them are available. It may take a time. The system may be slower and your transaction keep waiting. Okay? So to address that problem, so we can allow gradually get the lock. First, if this one is available, yes, you can get the read lock for employee, write lock for employee, and process it. Then next, after that, you can get another lock. Then once it's completed, then you can release the lock. However, in case you have the two transactions, to get the lock of employee, this one is a department, it's a conflict situation. Also, this may cause the deadlock situation. Right? So how can we address that problem? The strict version is, in this case, not the case of the deadlock, in case of conflict situation. At this time, system is very hard to know whether this may cause the deadlock or not, because you need to check all the future operation, which is not possible, right? It's very hard to see the future. In this case, it's simple, so you can check it. For program, in one program, there might be the jump and the go to, so you don't know which one will be processed, the next operation. So, however, at this time, this is the, for example, in this case, it's the department and different and right lock, so it may cause the deadlock situation. So it's a complete situation. At that time, what will be the solution? Kill one of them. Terminate one of them. Falsely terminate. Abort one of them. That is a strict version of two-phase locking. Depending on how to select the victim, Okay? Let's say the Tx, this one is, so Tx1 is start earlier and Tx2 is later. Because of this transaction at the read department, currently Tx1 process get the log of this, and Tx2 request this log. So Tx2 is request. The younger is requesting the item. Younger caused the conflict situation. At that time, we are going to terminate, abort the younger transaction. Okay? The younger if the younger transaction caused the conflict, we kill the younger one because the older is better. We respect the older, not always, but anyway. So that is, I forgot the name of that is the wait. The wait dying algorithm. So either wait or dying. So dying means if the transaction, the younger transaction caused the conflict situation, it will be dying. Otherwise, if all the transaction, it will wait. Okay. So in other words, if the same situation but Tx2, but Tx1, older one caused the problem. Okay, older one, this one. So first the Tx1 is started and read, but this one, the request later, then Tx1 can wait. We don't have to kill. But this one, Tx1 wait, then Tx2 will be doing something. So either wait or die. So let me summarize. In case of the conflict situation, who caused the conflict situation? You need to find. Okay? The who caused the conflict situation. If that transaction is the older one, we can let wait. Otherwise, if that transaction is the younger one, then we will kill that transaction. Otherwise, if we let both transactions away, it will be deadlock situation. In opposite way, if the transaction that caused a conflict situation, younger one wait, and older one the die. That is und die und wait algorithm. Okay? But mostly the wait die algorithm is popular. The older, you do better let the older transaction keep waiting instead the younger transaction will be done. Now let me show the real example. I know first time is not easy. This is another my favorite database project. So sometimes the query optimizer, sometimes indexing, sometimes the disk concurrence control. Let's see the example. Where is it? Okay. And so this is a summary. So we're gonna so the two-page locking means always we need to get the lock, and once we complete the transaction, then release the lock. That is a locking case and unlocking case. There are two lock modes: read lock, write lock, and the web form. And so we need to manage also transaction table. How many transactions? Transaction is a process. Okay. So transaction ID and the timestamp means the when. The time that the transaction is starting. And transaction state, we learned about the different state of the transaction, the active and block, aborted and committed. Okay? And block means, what is the block?
Basically,
Because of lock. Okay? Because of lock, so you need to make the list of the such the operation you need to manage. Okay? and also list of the item locked by this transaction. This is awaiting, and this is the locked by this transaction. Also, as we have seen, the lock table, the name of each item, what is the state of the type of the lock, and transaction ID. Okay. In case of the write lock, exclusive lock is one transaction, and otherwise shared lock is as many as possible. Okay. Then also transaction list that are waiting for that item. So we will see example. Block conversion we also. So we are going the wait die algorithm means that in case of the conflict situation. At that time the Tj is the transaction that caused the deadlock. Okay. At the time if this transaction is the younger, okay, we will kill the younger one. Okay. So this is an example. From the example, I think that you can understand. These are the list of operations. B means that's a begin, and E means end. Number is the transaction number, and the R or W means the operation. Okay, read or write. So let's try to understand the list of operation here. Basically, how many transactions can you find? Three transactions. You can see the number 1, number 2, number 3 transaction. And how many data items we have? X, Y, Z. Okay, 3 items. It can be attribute. It can be table. It can be record. It doesn't matter. It depends on how much the precise the log item is. So let's try to B1 means transaction 1 started. It's active. Then read transaction 1, read the data item Y, which means get the log on Y. What kind of log? Read log, shared log. Okay. Then this one is transaction 1, write data item Y, which means log exclusive log on Y. You don't have to release the unlock and lock. Instead, upgrade. So from read log to write log. And this one, transaction 1, read data item Z. Okay, it's a read log. At that time, before P1 is ended, terminated, the transaction 3 started. Okay? Right now, how many transactions? 2 transactions. And so on. So you can understand the meaning of this one. Let's see whether this one causes any problem or not. From here, it's hard to say. It's not easy to find whether that may cause the deadlock or any concurrency control problem. So we will see. At that time, we will, the lock manager need to manage the transaction information as well as the lock table. So transaction table has the transaction ID, timestamp, starting time, and the status and the item that locked. And this is a lock table for each item. The state, the read lock or write lock, or transaction ID, and the list of the transactions that are waiting for this item. And B1 means transaction 1 begins. So we will set the timestamp as 1. 1 means it doesn't have to be the absolute, the timestamp. The lower, the younger. The old, not younger, the older. The lower, the older. Okay? So T1. So you can, because there is a transaction, new transaction, you can create the record, transaction ID 1, timestamp 1, the status is active. Okay? Next, operation, read log on Y by transaction 1. So you need to update this one, because before that, this transaction does not have any locked item, but the after request is okay because the lock table does not have any the lock. So for the data item Y, so it's a read log because it's a read, and who? The transaction 1. get the read lock on data item 1. Is there any other transaction that are waiting for this one? No. So it's a null, and 1 is holding data item 1. So from these two tables, you can see any status of the such a lock. And next one is upgrade from read lock to write lock. You can just change its state from read lock, write lock. If you unlock and lock, there might be the gap, so you may lose the ownership of this data item. The next, read lock on data item Z. So how many items? Y and Z by the transaction 1. Also, same time you can update the lock table. Item Z. This is a per transaction. This is a per data item. So read lock transaction 1. There is no other transaction that's waiting. Yes.
Yeah. If there is a lock on item Y, right? On transaction 1, read lock, first one.
First one, yes.
Yeah. But in the next, if transaction 2 want to write lock on the item Y.
Yes, that may cause a problem. Okay, we will see that example. Okay. The first, you guys need to understand how the lock manager can update both the transaction table, lock table. So I think a couple of the operation later, we will see that example. So we have another transaction. It's a transaction 3. So begins. So we assign the timestamp 2. Means if this one is old, this one is young one. Okay. So then you need to add the record for the transaction ID 3, but timestamp is 2. Don't be confused. So it's active. And it requests the lock. What kind of lock? So read lock. Okay? For what? Why? So check. So there are 2 transactions. Okay? And same item. One of them already hold the write lock. What is that? It's a complex situation. This is not a deadlock, but eventually it may. We cannot say the complete is going to be the deadlock always, but it may be. There might be a chance. So this is called deadlock and a conflict situation. We need to solve that problem earlier because we don't want to enter deadlock situation. So this is called the conflict situation. We need to check who caused the problem. Transaction 3 is caused the problem, right? Transaction 3 is younger or older?
Younger.
It's a younger. So using wait I algorithm, if the transaction that caused the conflict situation is younger, then we will kill that transaction. So we avert transaction 3. However, if this one starts earlier, okay, like for example, G3 already started, but don't do anything, okay? Then B3 requests a read lock. At that time, B3 can wait, keep wait, okay? So either of them, the kill or wait. That is the wait dying algorithm. But if you are using the wound wait, so it's the opposite. At that time, the T1 will be aborted. Okay? But the wait dying algorithm is more popular in the real implementation. So in this case, the T3 is aborted. You can see the status of the transaction is aborted. We cannot say the transaction 3 will cause the deadlock. No. It may cause the deadlock, so we are going to avoid such a deadlock situation by aborting. And T3 is already aborted. Okay? So we don't have to process it. And you can see it's still abort. And but Y and Z is held by transaction 1 still. And the transaction 3 aborted. And right, transaction 1 is writing on data item Z, so we can upgrade. and there is an end of 1. E means end, which means commit. Okay, so we can commit the data. What happened? Commit the data. We can release the lock. So when you process a transaction, it's getting the lock and release the lock. However, such a gradual pace may cause the deadlock. Because of that, we will apply the wait time or undo wait algorithm. What about the B2? B2 started and the timestamp is 3. You can get the lock, read lock on X, write lock upgraded. And what about this one? Transaction 3 is already averted. Okay, and it's averted. And you can see the change of the transaction table and lock table. And R2, transaction 2, read lock on Z. So read lock on G is a transaction ID 2. Okay, and write lock is upgrade, it's completed. Okay, so there is no the deadlock situation. Okay, so this is the how the two-phase locking with the strict version. It's a strict version of the two-phase locking using the wait time algorithm. One more time. I think the key part is here. How to determine whether, yes.
Are these slides going to be on Canvas or are they just on your notes?
I'm not sure. If not uploaded, I'm going to upload.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So let me explain this part again. So in case of conflict situation, conflict means the two transactions and same item, and the one of them is right. Okay. Conflict situation, we need to do something. Okay. One of the, for example, either undo wait the wait time algorithm or undo wait algorithm. So we prepare the wait time algorithm, which means the transaction that caused the conflict situation. In this case, the T3 request the read lock on data item Y. So transaction 3 requested. So this one is a younger or older transaction. Wait time algorithm here, younger transaction. So this one is younger, so we'll avoid transaction 3. If you are using the undo wait, the older will be terminated. P1 will be terminated. Okay. Then, so you can forward. That is the concurrency control. You can do the same thing. It's an exercise. So for your practice. Okay. In this case, the P1, the transaction 1 is started, and the read lock on data item X at the same time. At the next time, transaction 2 started and read data item on Z. There might be no problem. And B3 started and read lock on Y. There might be no problem up to here. And the transaction 1 request is the upgrade from here, right? And the transaction 2 request read lock, right? Does it cause any problem? Is it conflict? No, because transaction 2, transaction 3, both of them are requesting read lock. So still, there is no conflict situation. And transaction 3 requests the read lock on Z. So still, the read lock. So there may be no problem. What about the transaction 1 requests the read lock on Y? Still, no, the Y is the read lock, right? And transaction 2 requests the write lock on Y. Then may cause, right? At that time, you need to determine the transaction 2 request, right? So transaction 2 and transaction 1 are conflict situation. So who will be overtaken this time? Hold on. Y is a 3. So it's Y, Y. This is a conflict. And also 2 read lock on Y. No, so that is the reason you better manage transaction table and lock the main lock table. So this one, 2, 3, and this is the right block. So it's the same data item. So this one, transaction 2, caused the problem. Who is younger? 3 is younger, right? This one is younger, this one is old. Then you don't have to keep moving. Okay? And right block, the transaction 3, right block on data item 1, that also caused the conflict. Okay? So this one is the younger, so at that time T3 will be aborted. So all T3 is aborted. Then the transaction 1 requests the right block on data item Y. Okay? This one is older. It's a conflict situation. So keep moving and it will be terminated at the committed and the transaction 1. Then release the lock. Yes.
So what about if we are, it's like a W1Y, right? Right lock on the Y is going to the wait